guys, I have something a little bit different today. I obviously am not wearing any makeup. I'm going to attempt to demonstrate how to achieve a full face of makeup using very cheap affordable products that can easily be found at the drugstore, Target, Walgreens, places like that. If you have watched many of my other videos, you probably already know that I'm not a fan of drugstore makeup and I don't typically use it. That doesn't mean you can't get good results with it. This video is specifically for my friend's daughter, Christy. Hi, Christy. She is in those teenage type years where she's super interested in learning how to do her makeup, and her mom is not someone who wears makeup. Totally nothing wrong with that, but she thought I might be able to assist her in some application techniques and recommending some products that might work out for her. So with no further ado, let's get started. I have a bunch of different things here, some of which I have tested and tried before and some of which I haven't. So I will definitely let you know if I have or haven't tried it. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it. The first thing that is super important to do before you put anything on your face at all is to completely cleanse and moisturize. I can't stress enough how important that is. And from the drugstore, my two recommendations would be the Aveeno Positively Radiant face wash and its accompanying moisturizer. Just the original, not the one that's for acne prone skin. It contains salicylic acid, which can overdry your skin and cause you to have even more breakouts. I would only recommend using that if the original doesn't work out for you, and then maybe trying that. Personally, and I have breakouts sometimes, and every time I've used that specific version of their moisturizer, it only makes my skin get worse. But their original is, for me, has been really good. But skincare is obviously something that's very personal. These might not work for you, but they're what I would personally recommend. When you have a good skincare routine down, that will promote healthy skin, and your products will apply much more evenly and they'll just look better all around. Okay, so the first thing I always do, obviously I've already washed and moisturized, is I'll clip my hair back or put a headband on. I don't have one handy, so I'm gonna skip that. But yep, I'm just gonna use some lip balm. I have lip smackers here. It's, it works. Nothing too terribly wrong with it. That way your lips can be nice and moisturized for a lipstick application after you're done doing everything else. Okay, so personally I always do my eyes first because especially with cheaper eyeshadows, you tend to get a lot of fallout onto your face, and that makes it just easier to clean off before you've already put on your foundation, and then that's just another step I don't want to take. So the first thing I'm going to do is prime my eyes. I'm going to use this e.l.f. eyeshadow base. This is $1. Can't really beat the price on it. I have tried this once before. It did hold my eyeshadow in place just fine. However, it doesn't do anything to help intensify or brighten your colors like a lot of other eyeshadow bases would. But this just prevents creasing, and you're just going to want to use a very small amount. And rub it in really well and let it set for a minute. My next step is going to be to use this NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk. This is kind of pretty infamous on YouTube for being a great eyeshadow base to help colors pop. Anything you put over this will appear brighter, and that is a common problem with drugstore eyeshadows, is that they end up being very muted, or they're just not true to pan. Like, what you see is not necessarily what you're going to get, so this is going to help you get what you want and make the most out of your eyeshadows. And I'm just going to apply it directly from the stick, but you could put it on your finger and then put it on your eye, however you want to do it. And I'm just going to kind of put that everywhere And super important is you have to blend this out. If you don't blend it out, it will get all creasy and weird, and no one wants that. It's not cute. I'm going to try and do as little fast forwarding through steps as possible so that you can really see each individual step in its entirety. That might make this video a little bit longer than normal. I'm going to go into this, this is a palette from Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes are very hit and miss for me. Usually there's a few pretty pigmented shades, maybe 2 or 3 pigmented shades, and the rest I don't usually end up caring for, but I think this is only like $3, so you know, you can't ask for a lot. It will get the job done for sure. All the brushes I'm going to be using today are from Eco Tools or Real Techniques, which are available at Ulta and Target and a couple other various places. I'm going to start with this shade, and these are all marked. They say, you know, they give you an idea, a general guide, which is really good for a beginner because it tells you where each shadow could potentially be used. Brow bone, lid, crease, and then a definer shade. And they kind of have them separated into 2 sections here. But you can use them however you want. You don't have to stick to how they tell you to use them. I'm going to use the lightest brow bone shade, and make sure to always tap your brush off so that you don't get excess product everywhere. These tend to be a little bit dry in consistency, and I'm going to put that all over my eyelid and all the way up to my brow bone as well. It does have a slight purple undertone to it that's very pretty. And I'm taking that all the way up to underneath my eyebrow. Now that we have that laid down, I'm going to just follow suit here with what the palette tells me and wants me to do with it, and take this purple crease color. For your crease area, you're going to want a fluffy blending type brush, and you can use this to both apply the product and blend simultaneously, which is what I like to do. Once again, tapping any excess product off. I'm going to start from about the middle of my lid and just kind of blend this into the crease portion of my eye. And little circular motions as I go. As you can see, that purple really created some depth to my eye, which is what I was trying to achieve. My next step is going to be, I'm going to take this definer shade right here, and what they're trying to, what they mean by definer is that it's meant to define the outer edge of, or outer portion of your eye. And I'm taking it on an Eco Tools. It looks to be a pointed crease brush, but this will work just fine. And I'm going to stamp it on the outer V area. I'm not sweeping anything anywhere at this point. I am just stamping it. I am also not trying to be too precise or careful with it. I'm just trying to get some color on there. And it might take a little bit of building up to get it to where you want to be. You can go as intense or as light as you want with it. I should mention I'm using this color switch deal that I got off Amazon. It's really helpful in removing color from your brushes. You just take your brush and swirl it around like so, and it takes pigment off the brush. It's kind of like a quick clean off between colors. Take this slightly smaller EcoTools blending brush. Gonna take that definer shade there and start blending it inwards in with that crease color that we laid down previously. Now, if you are happy with this, you could totally stop here. The brow bone shade we put down earlier would act as your lid color, and you do have some definition in the outer V and crease, and that's totally fine. And then you could continue on with your eyeliner and whatever you were doing in your waterline and all that, and that would be fine. Personally, for me, I feel like I need some more definition just in this outer portion of my eye. So I'm gonna take the same brush and I'm gonna go to the other side of the palette here, third down, where it says creased. And this is kind of, I guess, like a purpley burgundy type shade. It's very powdery. It's very dark. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of that, and just like I did with that deeper purple, I'm going to pat it right here. And it's always good to add shadow in when you're, it's always good when you're doing this to go slowly and add more if you need it, because it's always easier to build it up rather than if it gets too intense to take it away. So just gonna pat that in there, and then take the same brush and, like I did with previous color, just blend it into the outer area of my crease. So wiping this same brush off, I'm gonna go back into, actually, go back to using that fluffier Real Techniques brush, go back into the original crease color that we were using, and use that to blend out some of that darker shade. Just kind of blend them in together. It's all a process of layering and blending until you achieve the look that you're going for. And there's not a right or wrong way. I mean, there are right and wrong ways, but what am I trying to say? There are lots of different eyeshadow techniques out there. You just have to find what suits your eye shape, and this is what suits mine. Or at least what I think suits mine. Now we're about done with the upper eyeshadow. For packing color onto the lid, you're always going to want to use a flat, stiff brush. And for my eyelid shade, I'm going to go ahead and use this. It says brow bone, but I'm going to go ahead and use it as a lid color. And I said I was going to stick to the theme they have laid out here, but I didn't, so oh well. Just going to press that onto the lid. I'm going to take that actually and press it into, I have sallow kind of eyes, I guess, where they look very dark and like they're sunken in, like they're sunken in, even though they're not. So I'm going to use that to kind of highlight this inner area here too. What I'm going to do is take a clean fluffy brush and go into that very lightest shade again, the brow bone shade we originally used as our base color. And I'm just going to pop some of that on here and make sure there's no harsh edge at the top. Find the more that you blend, the better your eyeshadow is going to look as a whole. My next step is going to be to take a makeup wipe and clean up anything that fell underneath my eyes before I go any further. And I like to use the CVS brand makeup wipes. They're cheap, they work, they don't leave any residue on your skin. So they're perfect for a specific use. I like to also use this to create a harsher edge on the outside of my eye. You can also, some people like to take Scotch tape or anything that really has a flat edge, a card, a tissue, anything with a nice flat edge to it, and place it right here, and then apply their shadow with that on, so that that line automatically kind of forms itself. But I just don't normally do that anymore. So I would start from the outer corner of my eye and use it as a guide going up towards my eyebrow to just swipe. And then bam, you got a straight edge if that's what you're going for. If it's not, you can just, you know, blend that eyeshadow and make it look more blown out, or just a softer edge, I guess. And for the waterline, which is right in here, typically I like to use black a lot, but I'm actually going to go ahead and use, I'm going to go for a nude shade today, and that's going to just brighten up under my eye area. And the one I'm going to use is the Rimmel Scandaleyes in Nude. I have a few of these liners here and I really love them all. They're very close to the Urban Decay formula. If you are familiar with those, they're pretty close, just not as wide of a range of colors. Some people like to take a Q-tip and dry off this waterline area before doing this, but I never do. I just find it doesn't make that big of a difference for me, but you could definitely try it if you have really watery eyes. And since we went with the purple theme, we'll just go really simple and use the same brand liner. This is the Rimmel London Scandaleyes Waterproof Kohl Pencil in 013 Purple. I'm going to run that underneath my lash line. You don't have to be too careful with that because we're going to blend it out, but you want to stay as close to the lash line as possible. And you can take this all the way into the corner of your eye, or you could stop right about where your iris is in the middle, whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to go ahead and take it all the way in. Then you're going to want to take either a smudge brush like this or a pencil brush, which more comes to a point, and just run it underneath to blend it out, and that will soften it up a lot. It will make it more diffused looking. So it's not just a stark line of purple underneath your eye. You can also take a coordinating eyeshadow and just gently tap a little bit of that over the liner and blend it out a little bit. You can really do whatever you want. You could you could take this dark color and go ahead and tap it over here a little bit and blend it into the lighter purple, and it would be striking. But I'm just gonna leave it like this, keeping it pretty simple. Let me put on some liner and mascara. The liner I'm using is the NYC High Definition Liquid Eyeliner. I actually have not used this before. I attempted this tutorial a couple of times and wasn't happy with it. So the original one I had used was this Wet n Wild H2O, and this actually had pretty good staying power and pigmentation, but it's just kind of awkward to apply, and I didn't care for the brush on it. So I'm going to try this and see if it's any better. I've heard good things, but we'll see. I recommend starting out with a felt tipped liner if you're interested in using a liquid liner. You can also use a gel liner. My favorite drugstore gel liner is the L'Oreal Infallible liners. They are very, very, very nice. I'm gonna create a wing because that's how I like to do my eyeliner, but there's lots of different ways you can do it. Yeah, this is just what I typically do, so we're gonna give it a shot with this eyeliner I have never used before and see what happens. The first thing I'm gonna do is to create the outer wing, and I'm gonna use the outside edge of my the outside edge of my eye as a guide, drawing upwards towards my brow. You can make as small or as large a wing as you want. You can make it as thick or as thin as you want. It's all up to you, however you want to do it. I'm going to kind of follow that line that I created with that eyeshadow as well. To fix my mess ups, I like to take a pointed Q-tip and those same CVS wipes. I just kind of like press it into the top of the wipe to moisten it a little bit and take off whatever product I accidentally put where it wasn't supposed to go. It's like at least half of the time with eyeliner. You're gonna try this again. Take two. I'm gonna use stamping motions, kind of. And then use the tip of the pen. You have to kind of have a steady hand for this, which I do not, but we'll work with what we got, right? Until you get your point. Then I start from about here and I drag it downwards towards my lash line. And go ahead and fill that in. And then for the lid part, I like to make the liner on my lid a lot thinner than it is on the outside edge. I'm going to use the side of this, but up towards the tip, to try and stamp it on the top of my lid to create a thinner line. And I'm just going to meet it up with the wing I already created. Trying not to leave any gaps in between the liner and my lash line. You can take it all the way to the inside, which is what I usually do, but you definitely don't. You can even stop in the middle if you want to. It all depends on your eye shape and how you want your eyeliner to look. So this is just how I'm going to do mine. Once I have that solid line across, I like to drag a little bit more to build an opacity if I want it to be a little bit darker, which I do. And sharpen up the tip of that wing. Or top two. Take a makeup wipe, following this outer edge, just kind of stretch and to create a crisper line. Don't always end up having to do this, but sometimes we make mistakes. And that still isn't perfect, but I am absolutely going to leave it for the purposes of this demonstration. That will do just fine. Now that that looks about right, I'm going to go ahead and put mascara on. And I was having the hardest time figuring this out because a couple mascaras that I previously really loved ended up not working out like I remembered them. So I can't in good conscience recommend them anymore. However, I did randomly pick this up at Ulta the other day for $3. It says it's by Essence, and it just says Get Big Lashes Triple Black 3 on it. And I found this a bit similar to my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, both in the brush and the formula. It's not quite as good, but it definitely, you know, it works. I like it quite a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes first. Volume has always been more important to me than length. I find that most mascaras will lengthen decently, but it's much harder to find one that gives good volume without it making your eyelashes look super overly clumpy. So I'm gonna start with I start anyway from the very roots of my lashes, dragging upwards, and the first coat is just to get them as dark as I want them to be, I guess. Just building up some color and a little bit of length. I kind of roll the brush as I go. You're just gonna want to wipe off the end of your brush so it doesn't have a bunch of chunky globs on the end of it. Kind of look down when I do this and try to avoid hitting my lid, but you know, it doesn't always work out that way, so we'll see. Okay, so you just do one eye, then the other eye, base coat, and then for the second coat, I'm going to start again at the root of my lashes, and this time I'm going to kind of wiggle the wand back and forth as I work it up to try and build volume. Okay, next step is I'm going to move on to brows. I'm not going to do anything special today. If you have really bushy brows or you've never done anything with them before, I don't have that problem. I don't have much brow at all to work with. But if you do have that issue and you don't like the way your brows are naturally, I would highly recommend getting them waxed or threaded and then filling them in however you like. And today I'm just going to be going really, really simple. This product is from NYX, and it is a, it's called it says NYX Eyebrow Cake Powder. And I'm just going to use the little brush it came with and the little spoolie that it came with. The spoolie is meant, it was kind of like a mascara wand, but very small. And I'm just going to brush kind of upwards. I don't have much to brush. I do need to get them kind of cleaned up a little bit, but whatever. I'm going to go into the darker of the two, or I should say, and not necessarily darker, but the cooler of the two shades here. And get a little product on the angled brush it came with. And just kind of put it on. You can get much more dramatic and detailed with your brows. Just not doing that today. For more dramatic brows, you'd want to use like a pomade or a pencil and different highlighting and blending techniques and all this and that. But really, I just want to make mine look like they exist. And I think working with powders is just a really good starter intro into doing your brows, because for the longest time when I was a teenager, I was like, what, I can put makeup on there? Like, I didn't do anything with them at all. And that's what I first started with, was this product, just to make me not look eyebrownless. And then it comes with a little wax in here, and you can use this if you want to or not. I'm just gonna pat it, kind of smear it, I guess, over that to set it. And that'll keep that powder on there for longer without fading away. Okay, now that we're completely done with the eyes, we can move on to the rest of the face. There's a couple different primers that I would recommend that I don't use them. I don't use this one as much anymore, but I used to. If you're super oily or have enlarged pores on your nose, or you have super oily skin in general, you could potentially put this all over your face, but you don't have to. Just take a very, very small amount and use it where my pores are more apparent and where I tend to get oily more. And it just kind of fills them in. And this will help your makeup to go on smoother. For the rest of my face, since it tends to be drier and I don't have any other pores I'm trying to really fill in, I'm just going to use this Master Prime from Maybelline. It's the Blur and Smooth one. And I really, really like this. I would compare this to the Smashbox Photo Finish Light. I see absolutely no difference in the performance. The Smashbox may control oil just a little bit more. And this would be more the Smashbox original Photo Finish. The texture is exactly the same almost. Everything about it is exactly the same. So I'm going to take some of that and I'm just going to use my fingers and put that more on the outer perimeters of my face. And not where I put the other one. Especially where I like to get dry, which is right here. And that's just going to help your foundation go on smoother. I'll let that sink in for a minute. The drugstore foundations that I've tried and would recommend would be the Revlon Color Stay and the formula for combination to oily skin. This pump doesn't come with a bottle. This is something I took from something else, cleaned it out, and screwed it on there. I'm not going to use this today because I've had it for so long and I'm pretty sure it's expired and I need to throw it away. But I would recommend it. It has medium to full coverage and they separate their foundations into cool and warm skin tones. So that's pretty awesome. That has kind of a, I don't know, it's not the super matte finish, it's not a super dewy finish, it's kind of in between. This Maybelline Dream Wonder Foundation is also, I found, it's kind of like a serum foundation, and I found this to be really nice for light coverage, and it just blends really effortlessly and kind of leaves a bit of a dewy finish, which I don't mind personally. So yeah, I would give that a shot if you're looking for, if you've never used foundation, that works pretty well. This one right here, I love this. This is kind of like a demi-matte finish, and this is not my shade. This is for you, Christy. Actually, I'm sending this your way, and hopefully I matched you. Okay. But this is, it's just, it gives your face a really fresh look, and I don't know, I don't have any complaints about it. It blends great. It doesn't settle in any fine lines or anything like that. I really, really like it. I recommend it. But the one I'm going to be using today, coincidentally, I've never tried before, and this is just kind of like a test run for me, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. And I guess there's lots of different, I won't get into it too much, but there's a difference between the different types of finishes of foundation. Matte foundations are going to leave your skin looking very, they're going to give you more coverage, they're going to control oil better, and they're going to kind of make everything seem flatter, I guess. There's not going to be any sort of shine or shimmer or anything like that to the skin at all, whereas something like this is definitely like a more dewy type foundation. It's supposed to be more radiant and youthful looking, but that can be a problem for people that have super oily skin. So for you, Christy, since you're so young, I would even recommend just going with a BB cream to just even your skin tone out a little bit and just patting a little powder over the top, and that's really all you need. I wouldn't recommend using a super heavy foundation if you don't need it. I have a lot of things going on with my face right now, so I kind of do need it, but I always recommend applying it to the back of your hand, or to, if you have like a little palette or something, you can use that too. I'm just going to use the back of my hand for this, and I've swatched this but I haven't actually used it before, so we'll see how it goes. So there's what that looks like, and there are two ways that I like to put on foundation. One is by using a dense, fluffier type brush, and by buffing it in circular motions, and the other is with a beauty blender. But since we're doing drugstore, this is the dupe for the beauty blender. It does work just fine. It's by Real Techniques, and it's only a few bucks, whereas a beauty blender is 20, so I'd recommend checking this out. So I guess I'll show you both ways of applying it. I'm just gonna, I always take it just directly on my brush. Some people like to like put it in little dots all over their face. You know, you can do that if you want to. I'm just gonna take it right on my brush, start from the center of my face and work outwards. And you don't want to forget to get your ears and to blend it into your jawline and down onto your neck. Forgot to use any sort of eye cream, but it's an optional step. My under eye area is creasy and dry, so normally I do, but I did not today. And you just want to go in circular buffing motions to get it as worked into the skin as possible, and not leave any streaks. I don't know if I mentioned, but this is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, which I would recommend for applying your foundation. It works really well. I really should pull my hair back, yeah. Looks like I got like way too much on my forehead, and I'm going to show you how to fix that here. I'm going to take this beauty blender, Real Techniques Beauty Sponge, and this is damp, by the way. You are always, this is super, super important if you're going to use this for your foundation. You're going to take it, you're going to get it, it's going to be dry. You take it and run it under water, squeeze it out a few times. It's going to like practically double in size. Then wring it out, just pat it a little bit more dry with a towel or something, and then go ahead and use it. You don't want to use it dry, it's not going to work right. So I'm going to take this, and you see on my forehead how that looks really kind of caked on, and I used too much obviously, but I'm going to take this and just pat it, bounce it rather, on the skin. And that's just gonna take a little bit off and blend it in a little bit better than the brush did for me. You can see how that already, hopefully you can see how that already looks much nicer than it did in the beginning. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of my face too. But some people like to just use this alone to apply their foundation with. I don't. I find it absorbs a lot of product, and I just like a little bit more of a fuller coverage than you can get with a beauty sponge. But it's totally up to you. It definitely does give a very nice finish to the skin. There we go. Guess how this is my first time ever using this, and to be honest with you, I don't mind the way it looks so much, but it feels kind of heavy and just not quite, I don't know. We'll see how it wears throughout the day too. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, the best drugstore foundation that I've ever personally worked with or enjoyed putting on my face was the Revlon Color Stay. Just throwing it out there. Now, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit, and I'm gonna put on some concealer. And today, this is actually one of my favorite concealers. Like I said, I don't usually use drugstore stuff, but every once in a while you find a treasure, and this is a treasure in my opinion. It's the L'Oreal Visible Lift Blur Concealer. I wish they made it just a little bit lighter, but well, what can you do? And I'm just gonna get a little bit of that on my hand here and take my ring finger and dab it underneath my eyes, because that's really where I need concealing, is dark circles. That's what I use this for. If you don't have dark circles, you don't necessarily have to use concealer, even worry about it. It does okay with blemishes too. The other concealer that I would recommend would be the Maybelline Age Defying one, which I'll show you in a minute. I pat off my ring finger, and then I'm going to go and use this beauty sponge again and tap. You don't want to rub anything with it, just tap it in. I did forget to put mascara on my bottom lashes, but you know, I'm going to skip it. You can if you want, just a little bit. The other concealer I would recommend is the Instant Age 01 concealer from Maybelline. The applicator is really finicky on it, and it's frustrating to get screw it, the product come out and it's annoying, and the sponge is weird, but the formula is excellent. It works really, really well. So those are the two that I would for sure recommend. Everything I used in this will be listed down below in case you missed something or you want a list or whatever. It'll be there for you. And the next thing I'm going to do is set my makeup. I have two powders here that I think are pretty decent. One is a Stay Matte from Rimmel, and the other is a Physicians Formula in Translucent. And they both do a fairly good job of setting your makeup. If you use liquid foundations, you generally want to powder your face a little bit. Just will prolong the wear of your makeup, and especially in your T-zone area from getting like overly greasy and stuff throughout the day. And I really don't like this powder brush. I would recommend the Eco Tools one, but I don't think I have mine anymore. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this brush I got from Claire's a long time ago. And this Physicians Formula powder and translucent, and just kind of like pat it into the compact, shake it off. It is super dusty. And where I like to set my face, I don't powder my whole face. I don't feel it's necessary on me, especially with a matte foundation that can make you look a little bit cakey. I'm just gonna do my nose and definitely up underneath my eyes where I put that concealer. Just kind of press it instead of, you don't want to go like this. That's gonna remove concealer and foundation. You just want to set it. The whole point of setting it is to make it stay in place, right? So that's all I'm going to do on myself, but you could definitely use more powder or less if you wanted. And there's also this from NYX. It is a completely like translucenty powder, and it's I don't have it open, but let me show you. Okay, I'm not gonna open it. This is a very thin, finely milled silica based powder that will absorb oil. It also causes flashback in pictures though, so no matter what skin tone you are, you can use this, but and it will just, it's not gonna look white on you. But if you are using a camera with flash, all of a sudden you're gonna see it again and you're gonna look weird. So if you do decide to use this, I would use a very, very light hand, and on myself when I used it, again, it's just the nose and just a little bit under the eyes. Typically I use the NARS light reflecting one, but I think that this does work just as well. Now that we've set our foundation and done all that good stuff, I'm gonna do a little bit of contouring, highlighting, blush, that sort of thing. I couldn't find anything that I would normally use for my skin tone as a contour powder, but I did pick up this Ulta sculpting palette for $8, which is a pretty good deal because you get a bronzing type shade you can use for contouring. You get a very pretty pink toned blush and a champagne highlighter all in one, so that's pretty awesome. It's a good deal. I just normally don't use a bronzer to contour my face, but you don't have a ton of options at the drugstore for us pale folk. I would recommend, if you're super pale, to use NYX Blush in Taupe. Although I've heard they changed the formula, I think the difference is quite slight. And that'll create more of a shadow effect rather than, you know, how it can get like, you know, muddy or too brown looking, I guess. Actually, I don't think I have a drugstore brush that is appropriate for contouring with. So I'm going to use this. This is by Kat Von D, but you can get any sort of angled brush like this, or even in Christy, you'll see too with some of the brushes that I'm sending you, the powder brush, you can squeeze it. It's not very dense, so you can squeeze it and kind of, it makes it like an angle, and squeeze it and just do that with it. We're gonna see how this bronzer works out. Oh boy, I'm a little scared. I'm not gonna lie. So to contour, all depends on your face shape, but if you have a very round face, I think everybody universally kind of contours their cheekbone areas. As far as forehead goes, that kind of depends on if you're trying to make your face look, how you're trying to make it look longer, wider, shorter, whatever. So my whole point of contouring is just to slim my face a little bit. I don't do a ton of it. There are just lots of different ways you can do it. You can do it with cream products, you can do it with powder products, but I'm just going to use a fluffy angled brush and start from about my temples, and you can make a fishy face like this to kind of see where you would want your contour to go if your cheekbones aren't super apparent. Mine are not, so just kind of pat it on and then sweep slightly upwards. So I don't want like angled all the way down towards my mouth. Kind of follow that curvature, I guess. And honestly, Christy, I think this color would work really great on you, and it doesn't on me, but that's fine. It's just for the purpose of the demonstration. So then you would take a fluffier brush like this one. I'm just going to take the opposite end of this one and buff it in. You don't want to leave any sort of harsh line on your face. The whole point is to add a little bit of dimension. Okay, battery died. Hopefully I didn't miss anything here. I'm going to try and hurry up and get this before bad things are about to happen. Alright, I'm just going to use a fluffy brush. It doesn't really matter what brush you use for this. You can use whatever brush you want. I'm just going to take it, tap the product off. I'm going to find the apples of my cheeks by smiling. Apples. So I'm going to take that and just kind of kick it back. Does my smile look super awkward? Yes, this is a Sonia Kashuk fan brush that you can use for highlighting. Lots of different companies make this brush. It works just fine. It's the only Sonia Kashuk brush I really don't have a problem with, to be honest with you, that I've tried. I'm just going to take it and you're going to want to highlight the points of your face which the light would naturally hit. So your cheekbones, lightly. You don't want to turn into a glitter monster. Unless you do, and then that's fine. Down the bridge of the nose, Cupid's bow, which is right above the lip, and the chin right there. And you can do the temples a little bit too, if you would like. So yeah, that's about it for contouring and highlighting and blush and all that good stuff. I also found this one, Christy, I think you'll love this for a highlight. This is like a just freaking goldish, rosy, champagne-y color. It wouldn't work on my skin, but on you, that would be so pretty. I don't know if you can see it, but it's super shiny. That's a Wet n Wild product. So yeah, I have a box for you, girl, of stuff to just get in there and play around with and do whatever you want. Get on YouTube, look at other tutorials on other people's channels, and you can learn so much. Do your research, read things. Reading is always good. You can learn a lot from reading. And don't feel like you have to have every single product that's new, and because then you'll end up like me with way too much makeup, and it's really a burden. Oh, I forgot lips. The last thing we want to do is lips, right? I would recommend NYX lip products. I would recommend Revlon lipsticks, as well as their matte lip pencils and their lip stains. I would recommend even Wet n Wild matte lipsticks, also work really well. The NYX lip liners are also really affordable, and they work just fine. I'm going to use, let's just find a random color here. This is called Showy. No, I don't think that works for me, sorry. Can't do it. Elusive. This is a Revlon matte balm thing. And I've used this color before, I really like it. And the staying power of them is pretty good as well. They smell kind of minty and they go on really smooth. I have really no complaints with them. And that completes this look using 100% drugstore products. So hopefully this showed you how you can make drugstore products work for you without having to spend a ton of money. You can achieve a really pretty look and yeah, don't have to break the bank doing it. So I would recommend any of the products that I used today in this video for people getting started into makeup and not wanting to spend a bunch of cash. There'll be a full list below of what I used in my face, and as well as a list of other things that I would typically recommend that I've used before and do enjoy. Anything that I missed, anything that I forgot to say, I'll say it down there. So hopefully you enjoy this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. So until next time, I will see you later, and thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that's about it. Bye guys.